I don't know if you've ever seen the comics Dilbert, but when these first came out, everything I saw about Dilbert just resonated with me and my experience in the corporate world. So I found a bunch of Dilbert not videos, but Dilbert comics that kind of explained some of the things you need to do and maybe not do to have an effective meeting. So I'm going to go through these pretty quick, but I will post these slides out there. So if you want to take a look at these comics at your leisure, you are welcome to do so. Okay, so in the best meetings, participants feel their time was worthwhile and decisions and responsibilities are clear. I can't tell you, I've been to thousands. One time I counted, I don't remember how many thousands of meetings I've been to. Some were really worthwhile, and it was important that I was there. You know, I got good information or I shared good information, and others were a complete waste of time. So in the best meetings, you want people to feel that it was a good use of their time. You really need to prepare. Be prepared for the meeting. You don't want to be the only one there who didn't do their homework, hasn't done their research. You really need to make sure that you are ready for that meeting. Agendas should be created and distributed in advance of the meeting so everyone knows what the topics are and they can be prepared. You need to decide who should be attending this meeting. And if you've got an individual who doesn't have a role, they're not going to make a decision, they're not providing any input, they're not providing any information, then they probably should not attend. And it wouldn't be a good use of their time and they'd just be taking up a seat. So make sure you have the right people in the room. You want to manage the meeting logistics. And that means you're making sure that you have a room big enough. So if you've got a room, if you've got a meeting and you've got 20 people that are going to be on this team, you want to make sure that you have a conference room or a meeting space that's big enough for 20 and you're not all squeezed in. At the same time, if you've got a meeting of 5 people, you don't want to be in a huge conference room. So you want to manage the meeting logistics, the timing, making sure everybody knows what time the meeting is going to begin. It begins at 9 a.m. and it's going to end promptly at 10:30. Let everybody know. You want to talk to key participants in advance of the meeting. That way, you can find out any concerns that they have and they don't ambush you in the meeting or you're not surprised by some new information. So talk to key participants prior to walking into that meeting. Okay, so during the meeting, you start the meeting and make sure everybody's okay with what's on the agenda. And if something has changed overnight, you've got a 9 a.m. meeting and something changed overnight, well, go ahead and modify the agenda and let everybody know you're taking this topic off and you've added these 2 other ones. Monitor member interaction. You want to make sure that everybody has a voice and that everybody's ideas and concerns are being considered. So you might need to be asking people who are not talking up, how they feel about it. Make sure that folks are engaged in the conversation. Monitor the time. Nobody likes meetings that run over. If you can make it end early, that's great. But don't have meetings run over because they've got things planned after that. So be careful about your time. Very, very important. Always praise in public and reprimand in private. If you've done something good at work, you want your boss to come out and say, hey, you did a great job. Thanks for helping me with that customer. And it'd be great, if there are a lot of coworkers around that they hear that. So you get that praise in public. But if he's going to come out and say, oh, look, you just handled that really badly, that needs to be done in private behind closed doors, not in front of your coworkers. Okay, when it comes time to make decisions, you need to come up with, the group needs to come up with rules on how decisions will be made. And you need to follow those rules. Finally, you need to summarize those decisions and the assignments so that there is a record of what you decided to do in the middle of that meeting and what follow-ups need to take place and who has which assignment. And then if you need to have a follow-up meeting, make sure that it gets scheduled right then and there. Everybody's got their phone, they know when they're available. So if you need another meeting, schedule it right then. Okay, after the meeting, what happens? Well, if you've got a smaller core team, sit down and debrief. Talk about the meeting, what the meeting outcomes were, how the process, was there anything you could have done differently? Did you make sure that everybody in the room had a voice and you heard everybody's opinion? So just talk about how you think the meeting went. You want to distribute the meeting minutes. So a summary of who said what at the meeting, decisions that you made, and who's responsible for which assignments, who has responsibility for what. If there were any hurt feelings in the meeting, so maybe there was some conflict, voices were raised, people were upset, reach out to them one-on-one to try to repair those relationships. And then check in with anybody who has an assignment or a part of the project that they're responsible for and see how they're doing. Are they making progress on their goal? Have they run into some roadblocks that maybe you or someone else can help them with? But in between meeting times, you need to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do, and there hasn't been a higher priority that bumped something out. And just, again, check their progress.